Hi everybody and welcome to the first round of admin review. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to look over a theme called Pine. This is actually a fairly simple theme, give you an idea of what an admin review kind of looks like. What I end up doing is I go through here, I will let the person know that I'll be taking the admin review, post anything that needs to be done, and look over the theme files. First thing I do is, of course, I will install the theme by using the theme test drive. I do use quite a few plugins. If you didn't already know, my plugins are actually listed as the debug bar extender. I will occasionally turn on easy digital downloads, Jetpack. I will often turn on testimonial basics, theme check not so much. I will also use WooCommerce from time to time, but I always have the WP REST API turned on. Those are the plugins that I end up using, so I end up actually working very differently. I also use my code editor for finding and searching certain things. Now what I end up doing is I oftentimes have my required list on one of my tabs to look over some of the things. So of course, accessibility, code review, functionality and core features. Presentation versus functionality sounds very simple sometimes, but not all the time. Documentation is one of my pet peeves at times. Language, of course, that means translation functions. Licensing is a very big one for a lot of people, and it can be hard to understand for some. Naming conventions, very simple. Options and settings, escaping, validating. Plugins, of course, self-explanatory. The screenshot. Selling links, style sheets and scripts, that one can be a tricky one for some. And then of course the templates. Templates are going to be the harder ones for a lot of them because the template hierarchy is not always fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to look over some of the files that this theme actually uses. First thing I often look for is the README file. They see what they have, they've got listed, customizer, any licenses, any images that they have. From there I'll look over the header file, see what they've got going on. If they have anything major, all looks good so far. Then I'll look at the footer, how it ends. And then I'll look for any specific files that they actually end up using. Index, of course. Okay, nothing major. If they have a home page, I'll look through that. If they have a front page, I'll look through that. Making sure that they actually follow the template hierarchy. Now, the template hierarchy is not always the best thing in the world because it's tricky. If you don't already know, this is a flowchart of the template hierarchy. It actually does a really good job of explaining what the queries are. If it's an archive page, if it's a singular page, if it's a site front page. And if it's a front page, it'll load that page if it has it. If it's not, it'll go through its own little checks here and there and it'll post. And of course, the fallback being the index file. Now, this one doesn't have a home or a front page, so we move on to the next. We'll look at the functions file, what they're doing. They're setting it up, going through, and they're adding theme support, which is great. They're adding a size, and they are prefixing. That's phenomenal. Registering a single menu. They're adding theme support for HTML5. That's cool. So search form, comment form, list, gallery, and caption. They're adding search form, and they also are including their own. So I'll make a note of that on the ticket. They're adding post format support for asides, video, image, quote, and links. And then they're adding the filter. They're adding a widgetized area and then admin scripts. Oh, looks like they are not including properly, so I will make a note of that. They're registering their styles. Don't always have to do that. It's actually just simply in queuing will work phenomenal. I like how they're doing this, using an array, getting a theme mod, and setting a default. That's great. And then customize preview, so of course, customize style. Okay, so then they're including a couple template files as well. So template tags, extras, customizer, and Jetpack. So they are providing some form of Jetpack support. That's great. So let's look at template tags. How are they doing that? So we'll go to includes template tags. Okay, so post it on, making sure everything is on. Okay, that's good, that's good. Ooh, want to avoid doing things like this though. Okay, I'll make a note of that on the ticket as well. From there, find thumbnail source. That's interesting, that's great, cool. So directory default, making sure they're escaping everything good. And then get theme mod array. So they are creating default settings, which obviously is a big no. Well, not a big no, but it shouldn't be just an anchor link. If there's nothing there, it should just fall back to nothing. Simple as that. And then chat content. Okay, so they're providing that. That's great. And then we'll look at the Jetpack file. They're adding infinite scroll, it looks like. Scroll render. That's great. So their container is the main. Our footer is false. Any extras? These are body classes. Sidebar. Great. They're using the default. That's phenomenal. Although, looks like they're trying to add class. Get layout, yeah, okay. Classes, yeah, it's good. Returning properly. Sidebar classes, navigation, and they are trying to match an output. Okay, so plus navigation. They're adding a filter. Okay, that's good. Very clever. And then post navigation, another p cases. Nav h1 div. Okay, that's great. I see what they're doing. Good, they're actually using filters too. It's phenomenal. Find categorize blog. That's actually an underscore thing that they do, which I don't think they mentioned in here. License all, license. No, so they will need to attribute that. Customizer controls. Let's see what they got. Display. It's great. Logo and title. Site title. Okay. They got colors. Sanitize select. Okay. So they're using their own class for that. Sanitize. It's layout control. That's great. Customizer functions. Trim social buttons. Although you probably could do a little better on those, but that's good. And then a couple extras that they're doing. Now let's look at their JavaScript files, customizer. So it looks like they are customize Pine header, the logo, social buttons. I'm guessing. Okay, so they're adding classes to the CSS. Page layout, if it's in an array, archive, body. And then what are they doing to it? Changing the name. Get page layout. Where is that being used? It's actually not being used, is it? It's kind of strange. Two different places. Okay. Okay, so you're getting a handle, page layout. Okay, good. Index. Now we'll go through the 404 file. Try to avoid using this. Actually use the proper entity, I guess you could say. Comments, they're using comments. Good, their pagination there. Comments are closed. It's phenomenal. Now the other thing I didn't see was actually text domain. Where is functions? And they are loading the text domain. Yep, great. Awesome. Single looks phenomenal. They're adding a bunch of filters. Search form, of course, I will mention that. Sidebar, adding classes. Project list. This one actually might be interesting because this is what worries me. They are using Jetpack portfolio type, and they're getting template part portfolio list. That's very interesting. Portfolio list. So it looks like for each portfolio is okay. Yep. So they are creating their own secondary loop. So it looks like it may end up having to be a template hierarchy issue. So when you're creating a template hierarchy, you're actually creating a post type, custom post type. So if you look here, it's an archive page. So it's a custom post type, and then it'll use archive, and then you use the post type. Otherwise, it'll use archive. Unless there's no archive, it'll use the index. Sounds simple. So they would need to create archive type. Cool. That's it. And then from there, I'll actually post the actual review, the comments, what needs to be done, and any recommendations or any improvements they could use.